starting with 1,000,000 luck points. Chapter 76, The Dark God's Hideout has been discovered. Zhang Yi, let's go take a look. Zhang Yi nodded and followed Zhou Hao to a dense residential area. The security guard at the door was not strict, so the two of them followed the other residents and entered casually. After walking along the road in the residence for 5 to 6 minutes, the two arrived at the foot of a tall building. Zhang Yi could not help but ask, "Zhou Hao, should we go inside and search the building?" Zhou Hao shook his head. "Let's wait here." After waiting for about half an hour, the other student groups had already finished checking the residential area they were assigned to and began checking other sections. "Zhou Hao, we've been waiting for a long time. We should go check somewhere else." Zhang Yi could not help but remind Zhou Hao. He was very anxious. The only reason why he waited so long was because he trusted Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao frowned and wondered if his intuition was wrong. After hesitating for a moment, he sighed and said, "Let's go." The two of them had indeed wasted a lot of time here. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, Zhou Hao suddenly stopped in his tracks. "Something's wrong." Zhang Yi was puzzled. "What's wrong?" Zhou Hao looked at the surrounding buildings. "Zhang Yi, don't you think it's too quiet here?" Zhang Yi was stunned. "You're right, it is a little quiet. This is a busy area, so there should be many people in the residential area. However, it might be because it is currently office hours and most of the people living in the residential area haven't returned yet. It's normal for there to be a few people in the residential area during working hours, but isn't this situation a bit exaggerated? We've been here for more than half an hour, but we haven't even seen a single person." Zhou Hao shook his head. Every inch of land in the city was precious, and such a flourishing district should be especially crowded. It was not supposed to be this quiet. Thinking of this, Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes. His blood essence slowly circulated, and a powerful aura spread out. This aura automatically circled around Zhang Yi and swept out. Through his aura, Zhou Hao directly captured a trace of energy fluctuation. This fluctuation was very obscure. If not for his mellow and flawless aura, it would definitely be impossible for him to sense it. Taking a deep breath, Zhou Hao looked at Zhang Yi and said, "Zhang Yi, rush into that building with your full speed." Zhang Yi exclaimed. Seeing that Zhou Hao was not joking, he hesitated for a moment before gritting his teeth and rushing into the building. Bang! Just as Zhang Yi reached the entrance of the building, a huge backlash sent Zhang Yi flying. Zhou Hao caught Zhang Yi and stabilized his body. He shouted anxiously, "Zhang Yi, quickly activate the armor." Before Zhang Yi could react, a few figures suddenly jumped out of the building, accompanied by a few cold lights. Swoosh! Swoosh! An arrow-like cold light swept over. Zhou Hao, who was covered in standard armor, grabbed Zhang Yi and quickly retreated. At the same time, he shouted into his ear mic, "Target detected, target detected." The wireless channel exploded in an uproar. What? Did someone find a member of the Dark Gods? Who is it? It was Zhou Hao's voice. Not good, he seems to be fighting over there. Let's quickly go and provide support. Many students heard the intense voices from Zhou Hao's side and became anxious. However, just as they were about to head over there to support Zhou Hao, they realized that Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi's location signs on the screen had disappeared. At the same time, Instructor Shen also heard Yunyan's anxious report. He hurriedly informed Commander Zhao. In the hotel room. "We need to move quickly. A student has discovered the Dark God's hideout. Damn, I didn't expect them to really be able to find it. Everyone, hurry up. The student who discovered the hideout is in danger." Boom. 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 A group of grandmasters rushed out of the tall building and rushed towards the area where Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi had disappeared. Yunyan's eyes widened when she heard the sonic booms. A grandmaster. Instructor Shen was stunned for a moment before he reacted and said happily, "Haha, Commander Zhao is indeed reliable. He actually sent a Grandmaster to protect the students. Let's go and take a look at the situation. With so many Grandmasters around, those guys won't be able to do anything," he said with a relaxed tone. A Grandmaster had the strongest combat strength in the city. Moreover, more than 7 Grandmasters had rushed over just now. Even if the opponents were the members of the Dark Gods, they wouldn't be able to fully handle the Grandmasters. The other students also rushed to the area where Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi were. Bang! 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 Explosions sounded from the tall building in the residential area. Violent energy fluctuations swept out rapidly. Many residents living nearby rushed out of their buildings in panic. Yuan Cheng, Su Ling, and the other students who rushed over hurriedly evacuated and protected these residents. Boom! Crack! Just as He Biao, Zhen Hong, and the other Grandmasters arrived at the residential area, an oval-shaped lightning energy suddenly surged in the sky above the residential area. This lightning energy was shrouded in gray gas. In a short period of time, the gas enveloped the entire residential area and several nearby streets. Roar! Roar! Soon, gray and green rashes started appearing on the skin of the residents who had absorbed the gray gas. Furthermore, in just a few seconds, the cells in their bodies grew crazily, causing them to transform into ferocious creatures. Chapter 77, It's your turn now. Be careful. Retreat quickly. When Su Ling, Yuan Cheng, and the others saw the residents transform, their expressions changed drastically as they hurriedly shouted. Fortunately, many students were wearing standard armor when the residents transformed. Their armor was able to protect them from the attacks of the ferocious creatures. The pupils of He Biao and the other Grandmasters constricted when they saw the scene. This is... Damn it, these inhumane bastards from the Dark Gods. They actually developed a biological virus. The Grandmasters revealed furious expressions. However, just as they were about to rush in, they were shocked to discover that the grayish lightning energy had actually blocked them from entering. Not good, this is the lightning prison. Everyone above the level of master is prohibited from entering. Damn it! He Biao, Zhen Hong, and the other Grandmasters were shocked and furious. The lightning prison was a deadly technique of the machine race. It used extremely high-level energy to form a lightning net that could prevent experts above the master level from entering. Boom! He Biao's saber slashed onto the lightning energy, raising layers of purple ripples. Zhen Hong and the other Grandmasters also attacked the lightning net angrily. No, the lightning prison is too powerful. It can only be broken from the inside. He Biao shook his head. In that case, quickly gather the other masters and get them to rush over to support those students. Zhen Hong shouted anxiously. The group of Grandmasters stared at each other and could only truthfully report the situation to Commander Zhao. Shenjing was the first to learn of this news. His originally relaxed expression immediately became anxious. What? A lightning prison? Not good, Zhou Hao, Zhang Yi, and Yuan Cheng are in danger. He rushed in without thinking. The lightning prison could only defend against Grandmasters and anyone below the Grandmaster level could enter easily. At this moment, outside the tall building, nearly 100 members of the Dark Gods surrounded Zhou Hao. Beside them, there were corpses lying everywhere. These corpses all belonged to master-level experts. No one expected that the 2 students, who were originally considered to be weak like ants, would have killed more than 100 master-level experts in just 10 seconds. Zhou Hao placed the unconscious Zhang Yi on the ground. He held a saber and looked at the group of masters indifferently. The Dark Gods were indeed worthy of being a powerful mysterious organization whose name could make many experts turn pale. In just one single tall building, there were hundreds of master-level experts hidden inside, and there was even a Grandmaster-level expert holding down the fort. Tisk tisk, I didn't expect that the peerless genius hidden at Chu City High School would be you, Zhou Hao. Behind the hundred of masters, a man in a bronze mask exclaimed in surprise, and you actually managed to find our hideout. How surprising. Zhou Hao glared at the other party and said indifferently, stop wasting your breath. Since you've recognized me, today will be your death anniversary next year. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Hao's figure disappeared. Be careful. At the moment the anxious voice sounded, a saber light flashed 7 times and 7 master-level experts fell. Swoosh. 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 Zhou Hao's figure continued to flicker like a ghost. Having completely grasped the Shadow 7 sabers, Zhou Hao was like a grim reaper, constantly reaping the lives of these grandmasters. The bronze-masked man's expression changed. He did not expect Zhou Hao to be so powerful. Stop. He threw out a huge jade pendant that was carved into a beast shape. The jade pendant made a noise and surged with a terrifying aura energy. This energy instantly condensed into an incomparably huge demon beast. The demon beast let out a shocking roar, forming an energy flood that enveloped Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao, who was originally flashing like a ghost, slowed down visibly, as if he had gotten stuck in a swamp. Explode. Zhou Hao shouted as the blood essence in his body surged and circulated at high speed. Roar. His blood essence was vast and vaguely formed the figure of an ancient dragon elephant. He directly broke free from the beast's restraints and his figure disappeared into space again. Pu. 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 Zhou Hao, whose strength had exploded, increased his speed again. As the saber flashed, it killed all the master-level experts. Blood flowed like a stream as the smell of blood spread. The bronze-masked man was completely stunned. He had seen people with formidable combat strength, but he had never seen such a powerful expert. More importantly, the other party was only just a student. It's your turn now. Chapter 78, I'm afraid my identity will be exposed. Dozens of afterimages started to slow down and gather together. Still wearing the standard armor, Zhou Hao looked at the bronze-masked man calmly. Ha ha ha, Zhou Hao, do you think you can challenge a grandmaster just because you killed a group of master-level experts? The masked man laughed and directly took off the bronze mask, revealing a terrifying and hideous face. Today, I'll let you witness the true strength of a grandmaster. He raised his hand and grabbed, and the beast-shaped jade pendant floating in the air returned at lightning speed and fused with his body. Then, he let out a beast-like roar as his body expanded violently. His aura also increased rapidly. Roar. In the blink of an eye, the bronze-masked man transformed into a creature that was 7 to 8 meters tall. Genius. Haha, even if you are a peerless genius, you will still have to be killed by me. With a bang, the bronze-masked man charged towards Zhou Hao at an extremely fast speed. Bang. Zhou Hao did not even dodge as he quickly slashed out. Clang. The standard saber shattered directly. However, a terrifying force spread out and directly sent the bronze-masked man flying. He slammed into several tall buildings and smashed into the ground. At this moment, Su Ling, Yuan Chang, and the others were killing the monsters that just transformed. Seeing a huge beast fly out, they were all shocked. Retreat quickly, this is a grandmaster-level monster. Sensing the terrifying aura emitted by this creature, Shen Jing, who had just rushed into the lightning prison, shouted anxiously. The bronze-masked man ignored Shen Jing and the others. His blood-red eyes stared fixedly at the figure that was gradually appearing from the dust of the ruins. You actually reached the combat strength of a grandmaster. How long has it been? How did a student like you grow to such a level? His voice was like thunder as it rolled out. Shen Jing wasn't the only one who heard it. Yuan Cheng, Fang Yi, Yu Yan, and the other Yanjing geniuses also heard it. He Biao, Zhen Hong, and the others, who were bombarding the lightning prison, also heard the explosion. Yes, he's our Chu City High School's peerless genius. Ha ha ha, that's great. We're saved. I knew it. He has always been by our side. The students of Chu City's high school training class were excited. All of them seemed to have gone crazy. Unlike these students from Chu City High School, the Yanjing geniuses and the other grandmasters all felt somewhat dumbfounded. Genius. Grandmaster. These two words kept echoing in their minds. Shenjing and the other grandmasters were still all right. After all, they more or less understood the combat strength of that hidden peerless genius. Therefore, even though they were mentally prepared, they quickly reacted. However, Yuan Cheng, Fang Yu, and the others' minds gradually went blank. They could not believe that a high school genius could actually have the combat strength of a grandmaster. This was simply ridiculous. As Yanjing geniuses, they had broad horizons and had even seen some true geniuses from prestigious schools. Even the world's most outstanding prestigious school genius was only comparable to a high-level master in terms of combat strength. Rumble. The huge bronze-masked man struggled to stand back up. He looked at the clear figure in the dust and suddenly laughed out loud. I admit that you are indeed the strongest genius I have ever seen. But so what? A genius is only a genius after all. Even if you have the combat strength of a grandmaster, the foreign races will still. Before the bronze-masked man could finish speaking, a saber beam completely drowned his vision. When he heard the sudden sonic boom, the bronze-masked man's heart completely stopped beating. Boom. His huge body fell heavily to the ground, and a saber was stabbed into his heart. Zhenhong, He Biao, and the other grandmasters were stunned again. This saber beam. It's that Senior Zhou's saber technique. No, compared to Senior Zhou, this saber technique seems to be a little weak and not that domineering. Fang Yun, Yun Yan, and the others were also stunned. They had once seen an expert perform a stunning saber technique in the wilderness. The saber beam was almost identical to the one from before. Could this genius be the senior who saved us last time? This thought surged into their minds. Swoosh. With the death of the bronze-masked man, the lightning prison energy that enveloped nearly half the street slowly disappeared. He Biao, Zhenhong, and the other grandmasters hurriedly rushed in. Zhou Hao pulled the saber out of the corpse and saw the others rushing over. He could not help but smile bitterly in his heart, thinking to himself that his identity was probably going to be exposed this time. Chapter 79, Where is that genius? However, at this moment, the entire residential area suddenly shook violently. Zhenhong's expression changed drastically. Quick, let's get out of here. The Dark God's self-destruction system has been activated. As soon as he finished speaking, the residential building collapsed, and violent explosions sounded from the ground. The group of students was so frightened that they hurriedly ran for their lives. However, there was one person who went in the opposite direction. Seeing that someone was actually returning, Shenjing couldn't help but shout anxiously, "You're crazy. Come back quickly." Zhou Hao did not turn around and only replied in a hoarse voice, "There are two more unconscious classmates over there." Boom. 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 Explosions roared as residential buildings collapsed one after another. Shenjing looked anxiously at the figure who rushed over without hesitation as he gradually disappeared into the dust. Swoosh. Swoosh. Suddenly, two figures were thrown out like arrows. At the same time, a deep and hoarse voice sounded, "Don't worry about me." Shenjing looked and saw that the two people thrown out were Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi. Shenjing grabbed both of them and looked into the residential area before gritting his teeth and escaping. Bang! Bang! 10 seconds later, the residential area was completely destroyed. He Biao, Zhenhong, and the other grandmasters flashed to Shenjing's side and asked anxiously, "Where's that genius?" Shenjing shook his head. "I don't know." "What do you mean you don't know?" He Biao was furious. A genius who had been able to kill a Grand Master of the Dark Gods and had basically represented unlimited hope. Now, it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. Zhenhong and the other Grand Masters also glared at Shenjing. Shenjing sat on the ground dispiritedly with Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi lying beside him. He rushed in and saved these two students. He said that we shouldn't care about him. It was an emergency back then and I couldn't care less. Therefore, I brought the two students out. He by outside anxiously. Old Shen, you've made a terrible mistake. Zhenhong also said angrily, if such a genius with limitless potential dies, can you, Shenjing, bear the consequences? I understand, but I can't disregard the lives of other students. Shenjing gritted his teeth and said. The other Grand Masters sighed. Commander Zhao rushed over at this moment. After hearing the reason, he walked forward with a frown. All right, don't blame Shenjing anymore. In that situation back then, even I would have done the same. Moreover, since that genius dared to rush in to save someone, he should have the confidence to come back out alive. Don't forget that he has extremely powerful combat strength. He Biao, Zhenhong, and the other Grand Masters looked at Shenjing with a dark expression. Hopefully, that genius is still alive. Otherwise, Shenjing, you will be the sinner of humanity. The other students surrounding them were all silent. All of a sudden, Su Ling said firmly, I believe that the genius is still alive. Me too. He won't die so easily. Yes, that genius is the guardian angel of our Chu City High School. It's impossible for him to die. The students of Chu City's high school training class shouted one after another. Commander Zhao nodded and looked at the residential area that had been reduced to ruins. He frowned and said, this should be a stronghold of the dark gods. Let's go in and check later. We might be able to gain something. In the evening. At the medical office of Chu City High School. Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi had just woken up when they heard a commotion. Humph. I told you long ago that the peerless genius of our school killed a high-level demon general. You didn't believe me, but you saw it with your own eyes today, didn't you? That's right. That genius single-handedly uprooted the Dark God's stronghold and even killed a Grand Master. Can the geniuses from your Yanjing training camp do that? This genius from our school keeps a very low profile. He only stands up when there's a crisis. All of you should learn from him. The students of Chu City's high school training class could be said to be feeling proud and elated. Yuan Chen, Yun Yan, and the other Yanjing geniuses were unable to lift their heads for 3 to 4 hours. Of course, the main reason was that Yuan Chen and the others were still in shock. Su Ling heard Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi's movements and could not help but shout, stop fighting. Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi are awake. Whoosh. Many students surrounded them. Zhou Hao, Zhang Yi, how are you guys feeling? Does it hurt anywhere? Everyone asked anxiously. After all, Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi were the ones who had discovered the dark gods this time. The two of them were the main contributors. Zhou Hao shook his head. I'm fine. Zhang Yi shook his head forcefully and was still in a daze. However, he quickly regained his senses and revealed an anxious expression. My sister, have you found my sister? Su Ling and the other students immediately fell silent. Zhou Hao frowned. He had actually been awake the entire time, but because he had been sent to the medical department by the students, he did not know what happened after that. However, judging from Su Ling and the others' reactions, the situation seemed to be a little bad. Quickly, tell me. Zhang Yi shouted anxiously. Zhang Yi, calm down first, Su Ling thought for a moment and advised. When Zhang Yi heard this, he was stunned as tears streamed down his face. Is my sister dead? Zhou Hao's eyes darkened as he blamed himself for wasting time with the members of the Dark Gods. He should have prioritized entering the building to save Zhang Yi's sister. At this moment, Su Ling hurriedly said, Zhang Yi, don't cry first. Your sister isn't dead. Upon hearing this, Zhang Yi suddenly looked up and asked anxiously, Su Ling, what did you mean just now? My sister isn't dead. Yes. Su Ling nodded heavily. Then where is she? Zhang Yi grabbed Su Ling's arm. Su Ling did not know what to say for a moment. Yun Yan walked forward. Let me explain. Zhang Yi could not help but turn to look at Yun Yan. Yun Yan said slowly, it's like this. After you and Zhou Hao fell unconscious, the peerless genius of our school appeared and killed a group of experts from the Dark Gods. However, the Dark God's self-destruction system was activated and the entire residential area exploded. After that, Commander Zhao and the others searched thoroughly and found a metal box. This metal box contained clues about your sister. Zhang Yi hurriedly asked, what clues did you find? Chapter 80, Blood Sacrifice. Yun Yan shook her head. We don't know the exact situation, but we do know that the Dark Gods probably have their eyes on your sister because of her physique. It seems that they want to use her for a blood sacrifice. However, that's only if your sister's strength reaches a certain level. Zhang Yi almost broke down when he heard about the blood sacrifice, but his eyes widened after hearing the rest. Yun Yan, you mean that until my sister matures and meets the requirements of the blood sacrifice, she will be safe, right? Su Ling and the other students nodded and said in unison, yes. Zhou Hao asked, do you know where Zhang Ying was taken to? It's the Dark God's headquarters. A voice suddenly sounded from the entrance of the medical office. The students automatically opened a path and Shenjing walked over. Zhang Yi and Zhou Hao hurriedly got up. Shenjing waved his hand. You don't have to move. Zhang Yi, according to our understanding, other people from different cities have also been taken away by the Dark Gods. The blood sacrifice held by the Dark Gods is very mysterious. They have to bring those people to the headquarters to train them until they meet the requirements. Therefore, your sister is safe until she meets the requirements for the blood sacrifice. Hearing Instructor Shen say this, Zhang Yi immediately relaxed. Zhou Hao asked, Instructor, may I ask how long it will take for the Dark Gods to nurture Zhang Ying and the others who have been captured? Zhang Yi was stunned for a moment before looking at Instructor Shen nervously. Instructor Shen shook his head. We're not too sure about that either. We only know that the requirements for the blood sacrifice are very strict. Even if the Dark Gods are able to obtain a lot of resources, they will still need at least a year to prepare. Zhou Hao and Zhang Yi looked at each other. In other words, we only have a year. Zhang Yi clenched his fists tightly. Instructor Shen nodded. That's right. If you want to save your sister, you have to advance to the master level within this year. Zhang Yi gritted his teeth and said firmly, I will. Instructor Shen sighed in his heart. Actually, he was only giving Zhang Yi hope. After all, the Dark Gods were too powerful. If there was already a Grand Master holding down the fort at the residential area stronghold, then just what kind of expert awaited them at the headquarters? Turning around, Shenjing swept his gaze over the other students and said slowly, all of you have done well in this Dark Gods operation. The school and Commander Zhao have unanimously decided to hold an award ceremony for all of you the day after tomorrow. At that time, Commander Zhao and the other Grand Master experts will personally give you the medal. What? An award ceremony? That's great. A Grand Master level expert will even be there to personally give us the medal. Ah, I can't wait. The students were pleasantly surprised. Even Yuan Chang, Yun Yan, and the other Yanjing geniuses couldn't help but be excited. It was a supreme honor to receive a medal of honor from a Grand Master. Shenjing waved his hand, and everyone instantly fell silent. Don't be happy yet. Instructor Shen's expression suddenly turned unsightly, and his tone became solemn. By removing the Dark God's stronghold this time, we have also attracted the attention of the experts from the Dark God's headquarters. Now, even the foreign races will place their attention on our Huadong city. Therefore, our Huadong city might start facing some great pressure. Su Ling and the other students' hearts skipped a beat when they heard this, and their hearts instantly became heavy. Instructor Shen continued, after the award ceremony, I will train you guys even more strictly and forcefully. Upon hearing this, many students immediately complained. Even Yuan Chen, Yun Yan, and the others had bitter expressions. They knew very well how abnormal Instructor Shen's strict training was. It was simply hellish. At night, in the cool moonlight, Zhou Hao returned to the entrance of the Yang Garden residence. Looking at the warm lights inside, he collected his emotions and walked in. Little Hao, you're back. Quickly wash your hands. The food will be ready soon. Today is your favorite braised carp and tofu with bamboo shoots. As soon as Zhou Hao entered, he heard his mom's laughter in the kitchen. His father, who was reading the newspaper, also smiled and looked at Zhou Hao. Son, are you tired from the training camp? The two of them knew that Zhou Hao had entered the focused training class. This was something they had coincidentally heard when Zhou Hao was on the phone with Su Ling. At that time, they were so happy that their mouths were wide open. Even the dinner that night was much more sumptuous. I'm not tired. It's pretty fulfilling. Zhou Hao washed his hands and said, the instructor said that I'll reach the second level of blood essence soon. Zhou Suiwo immediately put down the newspaper and said in surprise, really? Zhou Hao said casually, how could it be a lie? The instructor said so himself. Good, good. Zhou Suiwo became excited. Son, work hard and break through to the second level of blood essence. You have a chance to become a martial artist in the future. At this moment, Wang Shuyuan walked out with 2 plates of food and placed them on the dining table. Seeing that Zhou Suiwo was so excited, she could not help but ask him a few questions. Zhou Suiwo repeated Zhou Hao's words. Wang Shuyun was immediately excited. She planted a few kisses on Zhou Hao's forehead. Son, you're really something. Haha, our family is going to have a martial artist too. Zhou Hao was speechless. Dad, Mom, why are you so happy just because your son is a martial artist? Zhou Suiwo stared at him. Son, do you know how many people dream of becoming a martial artist? Once you become a martial artist, you can kill foreign races and work for the city. Your father's dream back then was to become a martial artist. Zhou Hao hurriedly said, yes, yes, Dad. I'll work hard to become a martial artist. As he spoke, he couldn't help but ridicule in his heart. If they knew that his son had already easily killed a high king level demon beast, they would probably be so excited that they wouldn't be able to sleep for a month. Alright, I'm happy today. Son, drink with me. After eating for more than half an hour, Zhou Suiwo pulled Zhou Hao to drink and chat until 9:30 before letting him sleep. Lying in bed, Zhou Hao looked at the starlight shining in from the window and gradually calmed down. The biggest reason why Zhou Hao had cleaned the wilderness area and uprooted the dark gods was still to protect his family. Opening the virtual screen, he habitually glanced at the luck points. Luck points, 893,100, current level, overwhelming luck. Zhou Hao was shocked. More than 50,000 luck points? Could it be? He could not help but think of the bronze masked man he had killed today. It seemed that he was able to drop luck points after transforming into a hideous creature. The dark gods are really an evil organization. Even their luck point system considers them to be a foreign race. Sighing, he subconsciously clicked on the shop section and arrived at the mystery box interface. Large amounts of boxes flashed past as they were opened. Most of them still contained roses, Heaven Deo coins, and other trash. 890,000. I'm almost at 1 million. Anticipation flashed in his eyes. At the Dark God's headquarters. In the incomparably spacious hall, roars sounded. Damn it, Damn it! A mere Huadong city actually destroyed a stronghold of my dark gods. Shadow. A ball of black gas surged out from the darkness. Yes, sir. Go, inform the Cloud Mink royal family outside the Huadong city that our dark gods are willing to cooperate with them. Together, we will make Huadong city disappear from this land.